A to Z Mysteries, Book Number 11, The Kidnapped King, by Ron Roy. Chapter 7. What kind of boat? Josh asked. The water in Indian River isn't very deep. But it's deep enough for a rowboat, Ruth Rose said. Dink thought about the river near Ron's bait shop. They'd all waded there before. The water was only up to their knees. Yeah, he said. Maybe they took Sammy downriver in a small boat. When they got to the deep part, they could have put him in a bigger boat and taken him out to sea, Ruth Rose added. The kids stared at each other. Dink thought about poor Sammy, afraid of noises and animals, tied up in some boat. We have to do something, guys, he said. Let's go see if we can find more clues at the bait shop. He ran down the stairs to the kitchen. Ruth Rose hurried after him, with Josh and Pal right behind her. Your mom told us to stay put, Josh reminded Dink. I know, Josh. Dink was scribbling on a pad. I'm telling her where we're going, he said. We'll probably be back before she sees this. Come on. The kids cut through the dining room and headed for the back door. Suddenly, Pal barked and began straining on his leash. He pulled until Josh let him have his way. Pal headed for the living room, and the kids followed. I think he smells something, Josh said. Pal had his nose on the rug, sniffing at something small and shiny. It's another piece of glass, Josh said, snatching it away from the dog's nose. This is the third one, Dink said. He looked at the stairs going up to the bedrooms. Sammy dropped one in his room, one down here, and another one on the front steps. Sammy left us a trail, Ruth Rose suddenly yelled. I'll bet you're right, Dink said. The kidnappers must have brought him down the stairs and out the front door. Come on, let's look for more. The kids hurried out the door and into the front yard. Pal snuffled with his nose along the ground while the kids searched with their eyes. Nothing, Dink muttered after a few minutes. The trail ends here. Suddenly, Pal yanked on the leash. Whoa, doggy, Josh said. But Pal kept pulling. He dragged Josh to the road. At the curb, Pal's nose went right into the gutter. Look, Josh said. He held up a fourth piece of yellow glass. Dink and Ruth Rose ran over. Sammy must have dropped it when the kidnappers loaded him into a car, Ruth Rose said. And I bet the child picks up again down at the river, Dink said. Let's go. With Pal loping along behind them, the kids hurried down Woody Street. They cut past the elementary school, then crossed Duck Walkway toward the river. Inside his shop, Ron Pinkowski was feeding the bait shiners in one of his huge tanks. Hey, I heard about that boy disappearing, Ron said when he saw the kids. He didn't disappear, Josh said. He was kidnapped. Ron nodded. That's what Officer Fallon said, and they stole one of my rowboats. Can you show us where the boat was? Dink asked. Sure, come on. Ron took the kids outside. Right over there, he said, pointing to a line of upside-down boats along the riverbank. There was an empty space between two of the boats. They broke my padlock and took a pair of my brand new oars, too. Thanks, Mr. P, Dink said. The kids hurried over to the row of boats and searched for yellow glass. Pal sniffed the ground for a few seconds, then flopped under a tree and closed his eyes. The kids examined the ground where the boat had been. They didn't find any glass at all. Let's look in the driveway, Dink suggested. They walked back to the road, then worked their way down to the boats again. Josh found a nickel, but there wasn't a piece of yellow kaleidoscope glass anywhere. That's weird, said Dink. If Sammy left a trail back at my house, why didn't he drop another piece of glass when he got here? Maybe he ran out of glass, Josh said. Ruth Rose shook her head. How could he? He took all the yellow glass, remember? You know, Dink said, something about the yellow glass is bugging me. Why did Sammy leave a yellow trail? Why not red or blue? Well, he had the colors in separate little piles, Josh said, so maybe he just grabbed the closest pile and it was yellow. Ron Pinkowski walked over. What are you kids looking for? He asked. Nick explained about the trail of yellow glass. You didn't see any, did you? Nope, just that tassel thing, and I gave it to Officer Fallon. Did you hear a car last night? Ruth Rose asked. Ron grinned. The way I snore, a tank could drive down here and I'd snooze right through it. Let's go back and see if my mom is home, Dink said. She might have found out something. Thanks, Mr. P. The kids and Pal hurried back to Dink's house. His mom was on the phone, looking worried. She made a motion for the kids to sit. They did, with Pal at their feet. A minute later, Dink's mother hung up the phone. That was Officer Fallon, she said. The police are searching everywhere. They're checking the train station, the airport, and every boat on the river. But so far, they aren't having any luck. Dink's mother looked at the kids with concern in her eyes. How could a boy just disappear without a trace? She asked. Chapter 8. Sammy left a trail, Mom, Dink said. He what? Dink explained about the pieces of yellow glass. Oh my goodness! Dink's mother grabbed the phone, dialed quickly, and handed the phone to Dink. Tell Officer Fallon, she said. Dink talked and Officer Fallon listened. But when we got to Ron's bait shop, we didn't find any more glass, Dink said into the phone. He nodded, said, uh-huh, then hung up. Officer Fallon wants all the glass we found, Dink said. He pulled the 4 little pieces out of his pocket. His mother picked up the phone. I think I'll go visit Joan Clinker, she said. She must be frantic, and she's all alone there at the hotel. She dialed another number. Hello, Joan? This is Dink's mom, Mrs. Duncan, she said into the phone. Would you like some company? May I come over? Dink couldn't hear Joan's answer, but his mother smiled. Okay, fine. I'll be there in 5 minutes, she said before hanging up. She glanced into the mirror, then headed for the door. We're meeting for coffee at Ellie's, she said. Oh, let me have the pieces of glass. I can take them to the police station after I meet Joan. Dink dropped the yellow glass into his mother's hand. She smiled weakly at the kids, then hurried out the back door. Dink stared at the door, thinking. Earth to Dink, Josh said, snapping his fingers in front of Dink's nose. Dink shook his head. Something my mother said made me think of something else, but now I forgot. You forgot what your mother said, or you forgot what it made you think of? Ruth Rose asked. Both, Dink said, giving Josh a look. I was just getting it when you snapped your fingers. Sorry, Josh said. Why don't we have a snack? Maybe your memory needs some ice cream. Ruth Rose laughed. Better feed him, Dink. You know how he gets when his tummy is empty. Dink sighed. We finished the ice cream last night, he said, heading for the kitchen. He pulled open the refrigerator. But we've got Cool Whip and cherry jello. He grabbed the bowl and handed it to Josh. Here are you. Then Dink stopped. He stared at the bowl of jello. That's it, he yelled. It's yellow. Josh shook his head. Dinkus, this is red jello, not yellow jello. No, yes, I know, but jello made me think of yellow, Dink said. Can I eat while you talk? Josh asked. Dink got bowls and spoons and put them on the table. Then he continued. After you guys left yesterday, Sammy's tutor came over and gave me and Sammy a French lesson, he said. Josh grinned. Say something in French, he said. Just eat, Josh, and let me finish. Sorry, Josh said, plopping a gob of Cool Whip onto his jello. He let Pal lick his spoon. Remember a few minutes ago when my mom said she was going to see Sammy's tutor? Dink asked. She called her Joan, remember? Josh and Ruth Rose nodded. That made me think of the French lesson yesterday. She taught me to say yellow in French. The word for yellow is jaune, only I pronounced it Joan, like her name. Dinkus? Josh said. What's this got to do with anything? Don't you guys see? Dink said. The French word for yellow sounds just like Joan. That's Sammy's tutor's name. Sammy could have left a trail of red or blue, but he chose the yellow glass. I think Sammy was trying to say Joan.